NBA Tip-Off Live, Game 3, NBA Finals tonight on Wednesday, June 7th, and this is Wager Talk TV. We'll be breaking it down in depth, and I am Steve Merrill, filling in for Joe Ranieri. He is on his way to Game 3 in person with Kelly Stewart as we speak. In honor of Joe, I wore the Miami Heat red. I slicked my hair back like Pat Riley just because I know Joe would want it that way. Big Heat fan. He'll be at the game tonight. Look for him on TV. You win a prize if you find him. There he goes. Well, once again, I hope you got a refund on that broom because there ain't going to be no sweep. But there's not going to be a Nugget sweep either because it's now 1-1 pivotal Game 3. It's a best-of-5 series, just like the good old days. Tony Finn remembers those good old days with best-of-5s. We're going to bring on the guests and on the crew here. 3 of the best NBA cappers at WagerTalk.com. This is the original OG. All we're missing is Teddy Covers from the original 2020 version of this show when we used to do it together here on NBA TV, NBA Tip-Off on Wager Talk TV. That's Skee Profit, Tony Finn, Rob Vino. I am Steve Merrill. And once again, Teddy Covers is the only one missing because we couldn't fit in a fifth box like we used to.
Skee, well, it's Teddy's birthday.
Remember? Is it his birthday?
Oh, he hates that. He hates that.
That was great. That was great. For those that don't remember, Teddy's birthday ran for about 3 straight weeks on the show back in 2020. And none of those days were his birthday. That's what makes it even better. Skee Profit, welcome to the show. Great to see you. Might not be your Lakers, but it's a pretty good final still. What do you got going on for Wednesday?
I do have a top play up at WagerTalk.com. I've been doing pretty good with those. I think we've cashed 66 out of the last 83 top 3% or better, and there's a 4% up tonight. So try to keep that going here, and a couple other things we'll talk out, and I'll share another play at the end.
Skee Profit, WagerTalk.com, and in the middle, Tony Finn, who used to talk about Russian middles back on the 2020 show and other things I can't mention anymore in 2023. Tony Finn, welcome to the show. What do you got going on for Wednesday?
I have my third third straight 5% big ticket in this NBA Finals Game 3. First two, we're fortunate enough to cash, so we're going for a third straight in this final series, and I have that play up live only at Wager Talk, and I want to say that I'm glad that I'm not being blamed for the Canadian wildfires because it's all on Skee because that record makes him pretty red hot. So I just want to throw that in. Well done.
And the Miami Heat were in the finals in 2020 against Skee's LA Lakers when we did those original shows. It's amazing how things come full circle. And back then it was Rob Vino Spots. Now it's Rob Vino Sports. And Rob and I were barely doing any math back in 2020, but Rob and I do a lot of math together now. What math you got going on at WagerTalk.com for when?
Yeah, the NBA Finals, Steve, a pair of 4% best bets up and available as we speak over at WagerTalk.com. So you can go ahead and catch those. There's also MLB action for this evening. So all of that up and available right now at WagerTalk.com.
And Rob, I'll give you a little math right now because you mentioned baseball. You know, normally 1 week is 99, 2 weeks is 198. You can get 30 days right now for 198. So that's like getting an additional 2 weeks plus for free with that all sports special. And Rob Vino approves it live here on Wager Talk TV. So once again, all cappers, 30 days all sports for just 198. That gets baseball, basketball, everything else on a daily basis. No promo code needed. Why not get multiple cappers and save while you earn? All right, Skee, let's get into it. Game 3 tonight. Joe Ranieri will be there in attendance. Kelly Stewart will be there. Let's find them on the TV screen. I'm sure they'll be courtside. Opened around 2, then we saw 2.5. It's now up to 3. I did my public video yesterday, and it's actually on the air right now here on Wager Talk TV. And I mentioned that the Heat were public dogs in Games 6 and 7 against Boston, Games 1 and 2. But I actually see some public sentiment now in the Nuggets, surprisingly, here in Game 3. And I think it's because it's a shorter price, Skee. Lines up from 2 up to 3 now. What are your thoughts on side total in this one?
I know we cap a little bit different, but for me, I look at this one, and I just think the way that last game started, hearing Mike Malone in the post-game interviews talking about his team's effort and things of that nature, like I just think they're going to come back and respond. They'll make a couple of adjustments to their defense and come out and throw the first punch in that first quarter. We know, I'm sure Rob will talk about it. He's talked about it plenty of times. Eric Spoelstra, he's really good in the second half. If you even look at his ATS numbers, they'll reflect that. So we don't want to get involved with the second half of the game. We'll just we'll just bet for the Nuggets to respond and hit first. So first quarter for the Nuggets, where Jokic will play majority of the minutes, that's where I'm expecting them to get it done. And I would take it at minus a half, or if it's up to -1 now, I'd probably just go with the money line. But I do think they have the lead after the first 12 minutes. As far as the rest of the game, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I'm not saying that Denver can't win this game. In a series, when it's tied 1-1, the team that wins game three usually goes on to win the series. I do think the Nuggets have the better talent. I don't think they have the better coach, but if I think they're going to win the series, I'd probably take them here tonight. So I do think they cover the full game. Ralph put out some good stats. I think it was, and maybe you guys can correct me so I don't mess it up, but it was like the last.
Yeah, I've got it, Skee. I can talk about it afterwards if you want.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I think they'll probably cover as well. And just the total, I mean, last game I was, thinking that Denver's going to push the pace, which they usually try to do. They just couldn't do it as much in that last game because they're taking the ball out of the basket. And Miami's getting their defense set up. So I like the couple of adjustments that Miami has made. As far as putting Jimmy on Murray, playing a lot more zone defense. And I just think the Nuggets adjustments are going to be defense too. As well as they shot in that last game. The game only went over by a few points. I think they'll regress a little bit in their shooting tonight. That's how I see the game going.
Yeah, that angle that Skee's mentioned here, that trend, that NBA Finals stat really is incredible from Ralph Michaels. And follow him once again on @CalSportsLV. Ralph's, of course, at WagerTalk.com and as well. And going back to 2007 and all NBA Finals, including tonight when the spread is -6 or less, the point spread has not mattered. We've had 2 pushes, but you've never had a team cover and fail to win. And it's really a remarkable stat. Now, 74 times the straight-up winner has gone 72, 0, and 2 against the spread when the spread is 6 or less. That is obviously the case tonight with this line going from -2 to -3. So, Tony, I mentioned that the line has moved a full point, but history tells us it probably won't matter, which means, quite simply, if you like the Nuggets tonight, you probably should lay the -3 and not the -150 money line. Whereas if you like the Heat, don't take the +3 and hope they squeak in within a basket. You're much better off playing the +130. And I know the first 2 games were 8, 8.5, but it happened in both of those games. Nuggets won and covered, won by double digits, and then they lost outright in game 2. So it's definitely held up in this series. Likely will hold up tonight. How are you looking at game 3, Tony?
Well, I think that's spot on, Steve, what you just outlined. I have a tendency to, when I see a total in the NBA of nowadays under 230, that it immediately makes me reassess the points, et cetera, just because the correlation there. But that doesn't mean anything at all. I mean, for the most part, like in football, basketball, always in baseball, unless you're on the run line, obviously, is pick the winner, and you're probably going to cover. I mean, more often than not. So I think that's probably the case here tonight as well. And I'm not on the side again. I'm on another total tonight. I was on the total in the first 2 games, and the truth is that what you and Skee discussed is both are not even close to the way I kind of sit down initially and assess a game. In this game, this time, I had the over in game 2. And if you look at the numbers, look at the final score, one who's on the over, such as I and my clients, had to feel pretty fortunate to get over in that game, considering what Miami did in the fourth quarter. Basically, they put they did their job offensively, but they put Denver, basically made them put the emergency brake on and stop. They played the zone. They played the 2-3 version as opposed to the 3-2, and essentially kept Denver from scoring. They had 2 points, I think, through the first 6 minutes or 5 minutes of that fourth quarter, and it was the difference in the game. The fact is that Miami's not running. Denver's not running. They're not. I know that Malone keeps saying we want to run at pace, we want to get out pace. However, the Heat are going to be more comfortable. I think this game is, again, a slow pace. Had the game, had the whole game been played at how Miami played that fourth quarter on game 2, guys, they would have had both teams would have averaged 78 possessions, which is it's a pretty tough sell to be playing over 220 with 78 positions, or even 216, whatever it is, 214 and a half right now. So I like some props in this game. I like what Malone said. I think this Denver team will be a little more focused initially, and maybe what Skee is suggesting is stay away from the second half. I'm not doing that, but maybe that's a way to approach this game.
And by the way, Rob, this total has been dropping quite a bit the last day or so. It opened 216. I did my video overnight. It was 214.5. And I mentioned in my Fade the Public video that the public looks like they're leaning over. So I thought that was early sharp money, as it often is the case with totals. I thought we might see a little bit of a rise here closer to tip off on Wednesday, but that's not been the case. As we're doing this show live right now at 4:30 Eastern, the line's now down to 213.5. Sharp leading indicator offshore book just went to 213 a few minutes ago. I think we'll see a little bit of public buyback in the next few hours, but obviously game 2, as Tony said, both teams shot lights out, and it still only got to 219, which was the game 1 closing total. Game 2 was at 212, went up to 216. But both teams shot extremely well from 3, from the free throw line, and it still barely got there. What are your thoughts on game 3 here in the total in particular?
Well, I don't disagree with anything that's been said here. It's a series of adjustments, right? And even as handicappers, you got to adjust. I like, and I was out with Skee earlier, and I just mentioned to him and Jay Money, was there anybody in this industry that we're in that was not on over in game 2? I mean, I feel like every single one of us had a huge play on over. We all feel fortunate to get out of there alive. 2 guys ahead of me pointed out reasons why that game went over. And that fourth quarter, for what it's worth, according to analytics, was the slowest paced quarter in this year's playoffs. I'll add to that with my own particular statistic that I keep, which is potential points scored. If every single shot that went up that night had gone through the basket, the 2 teams would have totaled 411 points. I can't tell you how low that is by NBA standards, guys. The average on the season was 448. That was 411, 37 points less. And you had to make a boatload of those shots in order to get that thing to the point where it got to. So the question you have to ask yourself, is Miami going to shoot threes that way again, that high a percentage? Is Denver going to shoot 52% or 50 plus for the 3rd straight game? And I think when you listen to a lot of those post-game comments, you have to come to the conclusion, probably not. Denver had it brought to the attention, or to their attention, by their head coach, of course, who couldn't wait 5 minutes till after the game to run to the podium and grab a microphone and tell the entire world how miserable his team's effort was, because that's what Michael Malone does. He throws his team under the bus whenever he feels it necessary to try and motivate them. I think he's lucky that he's got the personalities on that team that he does, where they don't kind of rebel against hearing that so often out of his mouth. He hasn't really had to do it much this season, but he's done it in the past quite a bit. And in fact, in watching Nikola Jokic, when he was asked the question, he just kind of laughed and gave no reply whatsoever. But I think you could rest assured that Denver will be paying a lot of attention to 3-point shooting tonight by the Miami Heat. To Tony's point about the Miami defense getting back, or Skee, whoever made the point, Denver's getting hardly any transition opportunities. I think the number I heard from game 2 was 3 chances in transition in that entire game, which is almost like the way Pete Carrill in Princeton used to play college basketball. Take a shot, send all 5 back, nobody to the boards. It didn't cost Miami rebounding that much. They only lost the rebounding total by 7. But I think if you assess where this series is headed tonight, Steve, it looks to me as if Eric Spoelstra is extremely comfortable right now playing this game in quicksand, doesn't mind whatsoever. Denver can't really get out in transition, and I don't think their focal point in this game is offense. Their focal point is play defense. Everything we've heard out of them is pay attention to shooters. And to add to this real quick, Jamal Murray in his post game said that with their offensive sets, they have to be more patient against the zone. More patience means more time off the shot clock, means less opportunity again. So I totally agree with the downward movement in the total here. 214.5 is what we saw earlier today. And I took a stab at that. I think that it probably stays under the number here. And I wouldn't be surprised if you find Miami's team total go under here as well. because they're not getting a heck of a lot of shots at the basket. They've sort of put themselves in the position where they're using a philosophy where we're just going to trade 3 for 2. We're going to shoot 43s. And if they don't make all of those, 106 is hard to come by, as we found out in that first game and in the second game. So I would think under is the right way to go here.
Yeah, and it's going to be the second game in a row we've seen a several basket move on the total, perhaps. I mentioned, game 2, they opened it a lot lower after the low-scoring game 1, and then it shot up a couple baskets and barely got over. Now this one they opened 216 in some spots, and it's all the way down to 213 now as we do this Wednesday afternoon. So it'll be interesting to see where this line settles. Once again, I see a little bit of public sentiment on the over, but the sharp money, I think, is definitely be on the under. And it's hard to disagree, as Rob said, one of the slowest paces you'll see in that fourth quarter. And it's been a series so far defined by the fourth quarter. Keep in mind, Denver was up by 21 points heading into the fourth in game 1. They took their foot off the gas. Miami scored 11 straight points to start that quarter, got within spread range before losing by 11. And then, of course, in game 2 the other night, Denver was down early, up by 15 in the second quarter. Then it was like around 6 or 8 at the half, I believe. And then it was actually 6. In-game line was 8.5. And then going into the fourth quarter was 8. In-game line was 8.5, right around the closing spread. And then Miami just took over in that fourth quarter, outscored them by double digits. So we'll see how the fourth quarter plays out tonight in game 3, a pivotal game 3 on Wednesday. Game 4, by the way, is Friday night. We will be back here at 4:15 Eastern on Friday for NBA tip-off game 4 style. And then game 5 is Monday, because they'll be traveling back to Denver. So they give them both Saturday and Sunday off, the 2 days for travel. Skee, before we get out of here, though, let's look at some best bets for the show. We'll put the shot clock up, 1 minute on the shot clock. Which way you going in this game tonight on Wednesday for the free play here on the show?
For the best bet for the show, I'll just stick with, what I was talking about earlier. I really believe that Denver is going to come out with extreme effort and attention to detail and throw the first punch in the first quarter. Miami is going to have to sit back and kind of take it and see what their adjustments were. And then after that, they can kind of start to adjust. So we'll get in, we'll get out. I don't need the whole shot clock for this one. Denver, first quarter. I'm personally going to take them on the money line.
Skee playing LA Lakers style, not milking the clock, unlike Denver and Miami has done so far in this series. And Skee talked about it earlier here, how this line's gone up a bit. The full game is now -3. First half is 1.5, 2. I'm sorry, 1.5, 2. First quarter is -1. And Skee looking at the money line there. First quarter, we're seeing around, a much more reasonable price there. And once again, spread normally doesn't come into play here, folks, in the game. So once again, first quarter, a little bit different aspect there, though, is the winner of the game doesn't always win outright. But Skee thinks first quarter will be a strong start for Denver after that loss in game 2. Hard to disagree. Tony, what are you looking at here in game 3 tonight? Give us a best bet here for the show.
Well, we're going to go. It's a little bit of an outlier, but I think the price is a good price considering, and that is I'm looking at Denver and Porter Jr. and a double-double. In this postseason, if Jokic was not the high rebounder for Denver, it's Porter Jr. Save one game where Gordon had 10 rebounds was high in a Minnesota game. And maybe I've had people say to me, many people say, but Tony, I'm not concerned about the rebounds. He can't score. He can't shoot. He's shooting 3 for 17 from distance. And listen, this is a big, lanky kid that's a good shooter. He's in the NBA because of his shooting, because of his offense. Definitely not because of his defense. I like tonight a focused group of Denver players, as Skee has said. Jokic is going to get his. He's going to get his rebounds. But Porter Jr. gets his double-digit rebounds and double-digit points for double-double pace, plus 370. I'll take that all day.
Right at the shot clock, basket counts. And Tony, Rob Vino and I were talking about it, I believe yesterday, Rob, on Wager Talk today, how you and I both thought Porter would be a good play in game 2 for the overs. Obviously, he didn't get there. Yeah. Rob actually has a good breakdown of this stat as well, so go back and watch the Tuesday replay of Wager Talk today. And Rob, of course, one thing we talked about yesterday, and Tony, 43 minutes for him played in game 1. He went down to 26 minutes in game 2. Right. So we'll see if he gets more minutes, but I think he's a play-on guy as well. I mentioned him in my NBA video as well here on Wager Talk TV. All right, Rob Vino, 1 minute on the shot clock. That is also 60 seconds. The choice is yours, which you choose. Give us a free play here for the show on Wednesday.
And real quick, just to add on to what was being said by you and Tony, Steve, Michael Porter Jr.'s points and rebounds total, the combined total has been dropped down to 21.5 from 23.5. He had gone over that 7 of 9 games prior to the last game. And, in watching press conferences yesterday, Jamal Murray said they want Michael Porter to continue shooting, so his shot volume is going to be there. It was down last game, and Jamal Murray said it's his job to get MPJ going. So I think, Teddy posed a question yesterday. Michael Porter Jr. maybe was benched due to matchups. I don't think it was matchups. I didn't then. I don't now. I think it was lack of effort. He can sometimes be lazy, and he sometimes lacks on the defensive end, and Mike Malone threw him on the bench for it. I don't think you'll see that tonight. Real quick to the best bet here for the segment. I'll just go back to under 214.5, which has now been moved. But for all the reasons I listed above, and one more real quick, guys. 8 quarters in this series so far. 6 of those quarters have totaled 52 or less. 52 times 4 is 208. Probably stay under tonight.
Hey, Rob Vino doing a little bit of math. I love it. He got his abacus out too. Or he borrowed mine. I'm missing my abacus, Rob. I think you snuck in and took it out of my office. Either way, I can do all that math. I like it. That Skee Profit, he's like the Denver Nuggets first quarter. Instead of the -1, he says take them straight up at Pick'em, -135. Denver Nuggets first quarter money line. Tony Finn likes Michael Porter Jr. to bounce back after a subpar game too, and he thinks he is live to have a double-double at nearly a 4-1 underdog payoff at +370. And that's Rob Vino. He likes the game under the total, currently around 213.5. It has been dropping. Keep an eye on that Miami Denver total, currently under 213.5 from Rob Vino. Once again, WagerTalk.com is the place to be. Myself, Steve Merrill, I've got a strong best bet tonight in both baseball and basketball. Skee Profit, Tony Finn, Rob Vino has strong best bets as well at WagerTalk.com. And don't forget, no promo code needed for each and every capper right now. Get 30 days for the price of basically just 14 days. That's because you get a 30-day summer special for just $198. Every sport, every day, from every capper for just $198 for a 30-day special. It expires soon, though, so lock in those 30 days right now. No promo code needed. WagerTalk.com. And also check out free plays. Tons of free plays up on the site as well for Wednesday. WagerTalk.com. Enjoyed hosting. I'll be back on Friday as well here on the show. Game 4 of the NBA Finals Friday night. And Wager Talk TV will have you covered each and every night that there's an NBA Finals here. And don't forget, daily baseball shows at 2 Eastern. Wager Talk today at noon Eastern as well, Monday through Friday. Hit subscribe, hit the bell for instant alerts. And don't forget to like, thumbs up, and leave us some comments below. Let us know who you like. Some player props for Game 3 tonight on Wednesday. We'll be back on Friday, Game 4, NBA Talk here on Wager Talk TV. Good luck this evening.